Welcome to the Two Stewards Show. If you never thought that there was class warfare in the Western world, you may be surprised to find out that indeed there is. As we speak, there are three classes. Experts call them the upper, the lower, and the middle. These technical labels refer to a complex set of economic and social data points that describe how far into their piggy bank each class would have to reach in order to grasp at their money. The upper have their piggy banks strategically placed right under the tap where the new money comes out. This means they hardly have to lift a finger to catch money as it spills over the top of their piggy bank and onto the marble floor. By contrast, the lower can't even find their piggy bank. And when they stumble across it in the woods, they hardly have arms long enough to reach the bottom, and so they sit in idle desperation on the corner until next month's government handout. The middle are much more balanced. They always store their piggy bank in their closet at home, and while they only have one, it usually has something in it, but just enough to last until next month. Lately, however, the new money faucet has been pouring faster than ever before, and it seems that the upper are having a hard time finding enough piggy banks to keep all their money from scuffing their marble floors. They've been caught hiring the idle lower to steal piggy banks from the middle's closets and have been found only to give them back the empty jar after they spend a week scrubbing their fancy floors. The middle isn't losing because they're lazy. They're losing because the rules of the game are being rewritten while they're still playing by the old ones. This time we talk Carney, Ford, banks, and class warfare. To get in touch with the show, visit twostewards.ca. Remember, this show is not financial advice, but is valuable for listening amusement purposes. Now, let's squeeze the middle class.
All right, back in the studio. We haven't been in the studio in a little while.
Yeah, you got a bald spot. The light is pretty bright on your camera.
Oh, yeah, I know. Wow.
Sorry.
It's, yeah, that's nothing new. It'll happen to you eventually, Brent.
Yeah, well, we'll see.
Yeah, apologies to anybody who's watching on YouTube. Hopefully you're not going blind. But, yeah, back in the studio. You were just camping yet again.
Yeah.
How was that?
Yeah, it was fun. Camping with kids is, well, our kids sleep, so that's a big thing.
Like through the night?
Yeah, but if your kids don't sleep, then it can be a bit of a challenge. You know, you just get to bed at like 11 o'clock, 12 o'clock, and then you wake up at 4 in the morning to walk around the park in a stroller or with a stroller. Oh, yeah. Anyways, but
That's a lot like having puppies, actually. Because, like, they're getting better, they're sleeping longer, but we still have 3 of them. And, yeah, they're like, it used to be midnight, they would have to go out again. You could keep them in a crate, right, at night. They're outside all day, but then they come in, midnight, they'd have to go out, and then like 5 o'clock, 5:30, they'd be up like, right, and you have to go out. So,
well, the one thing that's common between kids and puppies is that they are kind of oblivious to all of the stuff going on in the world, and that's probably a good thing. So they're living their best life, they're having fun, and here we are to bring bad news to
everybody
else. All those mature enough to tune into our show.
Yeah, I mean, it's a good time of life, right?
Except for when the Bank of
4 or
Canada
5
doesn't lower interest rates, then it's not a good thing. I know. I told my 5-year-old that. He's like, "What?" They kept it at 2 3/4.
Those. How could they do that? How could they? Even Doug Ford was upset. We'll talk about him.
Okay.
This Ford guy. But before,
is he still in government?
Yeah, he's still there. But
he's trying to compete with Trudeau.
Got to bash the feds a little bit before we get down to the province.
So you haven't given me your list of things for this episode.
I haven't at all.
Yeah, I'm pretty excited.
I gave you one teaser, so we'll get there. But on the real estate front, I don't know if you saw that just came out. Open letter to Mark Carney, a bunch of developers and builders, I think mostly in the Vancouver area, to please remove the foreign buyer ban on Canadian real estate. So
because
they got all these unsold condos. So I don't know if you recall, like way back when, many years ago, where real estate was heating up and people were like, hey, I think Sam Cooper may have been one of them. I think we're going to talk to him again soon, saying, hey, there's a lot of like foreigners, people from other countries parking money here, like buying real estate. It's driving up real estate prices. And it's like, it's not legitimate cash either, right? It wasn't so much like, oh, those foreigners buying our good condos.
Yeah.
It's like
illegitimate, meaning drug money?
Drug or other, right? Like
illicit activities.
Yeah, I mean, some of it's just money, like Chinese people trying to get money out of China, right? They've made money in a business.
Which is smart because they don't want to get their head cut off.
Exactly.
Well, like how many Chinese people have disappeared? Chinese business people, successful Chinese business people have disappeared over.
Well, I mean, if you're to be successful, you have to like be wink, wink, nudge, nudge with the state at the very least, right? So, and that's the thing, right? So a lot of the money was from, quote unquote Chinese businessmen, but like, how did they actually make that money? A lot of them were party officials that, either got bribes or were able to build a business because they were like in charge of that. Anyways, point is, lots of foreign money came in, started bumping up the market, and everybody was like, no, that's not it at all. That's not happening, right? Till eventually the government was like, even the Trudeau government was like, hey, this is a problem. We got to ban these foreign buyers, right? And I think there's two stages, right?
I don't know. Did they realize it was a problem, or did they just think it was politically popular to say it's a problem, right? It's like immigration. Like they don't realize it's a problem until everyone says, you know what, this is getting out of hand.
Yeah, that's what it was, right? Because there was a foreign buyer ban, I think, first in Toronto. Sorry, I think it was first in Vancouver, like just a local one. Then they had one in Toronto, and there was an immediate effect on house prices. And then eventually the Trudeau government did like a national ban. So anyways, condo sales, as we've talked about, have like, are could not be worse. Yeah. And it's actually, there's a lot of builders, developers facing immense financial pressure because people are walking away from their mortgages, and you can sue them all, but when it's like 50% of your buyers, it's not, this is bad news.
Yeah,
so anyways,
I know. I sent a letter to Mark Kearney myself. I haven't got any response yet. Open letter. My household needs groceries. Can you help?
I have more kids. Anyway, so open letter asking them to remove the foreign buyers ban. And so they're getting blasted by a lot of people, right? Saying like, this is like, it's not a good look, guys. Right? Like this was a huge problem, and now you're just sort of pretending it isn't. So I don't know where I stand. Like on one hand, like, yeah, that's ridiculous, guys. On the other hand, I'm like,
you got to run to the government for help, right?
Yeah. Well, in some cases, when the government is creating policy, you want it to reverse a bad policy, you have to go to the government.
Yeah.
But
what so what about other countries around the world where like foreign buyers influence or dominate the market,
like Australia, New Zealand?
Yeah, well, I'm just thinking, like, is Canada unique in any sense with banning foreign buyers, or is it just because of?
No, we're not. Australia did it, I believe.
Yeah.
I'm not sure New Zealand, but it was a similar thing with like Chinese money, essentially, right? Yeah. Just you have such an exploding economy in China, but tight government control, so they're all trying to get their money out.
Yeah.
Right. The last big blast would have been probably like Russia, the former Soviet Union, right? When all these the oligarchs got rich. But I mean, so, and now it's not just Chinese money, right? There's a lot of Iranian government officials, and that's a whole other kettle of fish. We're welcoming Iranian and Syrian folks.
We will talk to Sam Cooper coming up very soon.
Sam has a much better handle on it. So I'm of two minds about this this whole thing with the foreign like nobody else is buying these condos, and it's going to cause a lot of pain. Like I'm just picturing myself as Carney, like, okay, what do we do? Yeah, like we have a real problem basically in Toronto and Vancouver, but these are the sort of economic powerhouses of real estate powerhouses of Canada. So could you just do something where they can't buy, and I think the guys on the Looney Hour talked about this as well, right? You can't buy resale homes or resale units. You can buy new stuff. And I think that's a model that they have in Australia. Kind of like They want to be suckers.
Can they buy assignment contracts from people who are underwater? Does that count? Like if it's just paper? Or
I don't know. You'd have to make a ruling on that. But yeah, basically, if they're the only ones who are dumb enough to buy these,
you have to buy it over market. That's the policy. You have to pay more than it's worth.
Well, but that's every new condo.
Yeah.
Now.
Well, because Daniel Foss just said that last episode was, basically any condo that's not a resale condo, like all the new ones are just overpriced, right?
Yeah. So like, what do you do? I mean, it would be a way to bail out the industry kind of without the government spending money while bringing more.
Well, because the pinch, I guess, is the longer term. Well, not the long, but like the midterm, right? Where it's the 2028, 2029, 2030, and we're looking at there's no condos supply, and so maybe they let some pre-sales fly. Well, we'll see what they do.
It'd be interesting to see. I mean, they're confident enough about it that they wrote the letter, so see what happens. Anyways, Nova Scotia. This is the one I did mention to you. I guess it's very dry out there. They're worried about fires.
You gotta send Mark. You got a dry sense of humor. That won't work. Just
yeah, and you're like a wet blanket. So in case there's a forest fire, we'll send you over there. No, but they have banned people from going into the woods, essentially, in Nova Scotia. So, and you were like, what do you mean? Like, what is this? What's the punchline? Like, no punchline.
Yeah, I'm like, is this a dad joke here?
I wish it was. It was a daddy is the state joke. No, they're worried about forest fires, and $25,000 fine if you go into the woods. So no hiking, no, like if you're going, he's like, go to the beach, that's fine. And if you gotta like go from the parking lot to the beach and it goes through some trees, that's okay. But no going into the woods for any period of time, right? You can go camp, like campgrounds are okay. But other than that, like
what if you wear a mask though?
Maybe there's a vaccine against wildfires. I don't know. Like I understand what they're trying to do. But so number one,
prevention.
A little bit of Smokey the Bear says only you can fine your citizens $25,000. It's about prevention. But so number one, I thought all the wildfires were climate change. Wasn't that what was happening? Right?
Yeah, but human beings contribute to climate change.
Yeah, by setting fires, which is like where all the fires. Like, where's all the fires this year? I know there are some that just started in Manitoba, but like if climate change is really.
You just came back from Manitoba. Were you in San
I may have thrown a cigarette butt out at the train window. No, it didn't look dry there. No. Well, maybe in Manitoba. I don't know. Northern Ontario is wet. But anyways, a lot of people are up in arms, at least online, about this thing. Like, you trying to stop your own citizens from going out, and like, is this just a precursor to like, just see what they can do, see if they can get away with it, right? If people will let them.
Don't let you go into the woods or to the beach. Don't let
you go to exactly. And it's like, guys, just do some proper. This is the one big criticism that people more knowledgeable than I, but I will happily jump on the bandwagon, have of the whole wildfire thing, right? And especially like you look at Jasper, that burned, and like it's obvious, and it's been acknowledged that there was no proper forestry management techniques done for many, many years. Yeah, right. They're not doing it, and a lot of that has to do with the environmentalist movement. So I mean, proper forest, like it sounds fancy, but it's really not, right? A lot of it's about like clearing out deadwood, so there's not extra fuel for fires, and then having a fire once in a while, like a controlled fire, right? Especially you got all the pine trees with the beetle. I can't remember what beetle it is, but like certain trees they're all just dead, so it's like standing firewood. Yeah. Because so you got to get rid of that stuff. Right, that's and they haven't done that.
Nova
they
Scotia.
Didn't do it around Jasper, which resulted in like huge uncontrollable fires. Right, if you manage your forests, you don't have these issues, but they won't do it.
Yeah. So I've been listening to this. I'm onto this Huberman Lab podcast. Have you heard about this?
What's that?
It's a science. Science to apply to your life that makes your health better. I don't know. Anyways,
I ain't in for any of that.
I listened to an episode on focus and the benefits of going into nature.
Sorry, what were you saying?
Yeah, you clearly are from Nova Scotia because. But there was a whole episode on like you should spend 40 minutes a day in nature, surrounded by nature sounds and visuals of nature because of the fractal nature of all the different things you're going to see that actually restores your focus. So I really, just to wrap this part of the episode up, I feel sorry for those Nova Scotians who they're going to be distracted. They're not going to be able to focus. I think this is going to be detrimental to their health. And I don't know what's more important, health or climate change. So
I think one causes the other. We got to do an episode on climate. We should get a good guest in.
Yeah.
I have somebody in mind on that whole hysteria. Anyways, don't go in the woods in Nova Scotia or you will be fined $25,000.
But that's okay. You take the train for free all the way to Manitoba.
Yeah, the diesel-powered train. May I add? Okay, let's do some roundups on the federal government because there's never any shortage of.
I'm kind of excited to see what you got. What do you got?
Okay, so
we talked about college layoffs before, right?
I think we did that last time.
Yeah, 10,000 plus Ontario college lays off.
Yeah, and how the unions are up in arms and saying like we got to bring immigration back. Okay, here's the thing, which I didn't have written down, but there's another movement from business owners and I think it was in Ontario saying like, or I can't remember, it was Ontario, Canada wide, but business owners saying like, you have to bring back more immigrants. Like our businesses can't survive without temporary foreign workers, right? They have the gall to say this when unemployment is going up, job vacancies are down, right? There's the CNE is coming up, right?
Yeah.
5,000 jobs, and you have 54,000 people lining up and applying for
5,000 jobs for a weekend or a couple weeks.
Couple weeks, yeah. Like, and this is, it's all like college students, right? College, university age students, because they can't find work anywhere else. And anyways, like, just talk to any young person. They can't find a job, right? And then, so you're telling me if you have a Tim Hortons or whatever else, like you can't survive without the government subsidizing the wages of your workers? Like, I don't know, maybe it's time to re-examine the business model there, right? But you can't say we need more workers when there's so many people unemployed and a youth unemployment rate that is sky high.
Yeah. I'm amazed that businesses still exist sometimes. So
yeah, on one hand, I feel for business.
Yeah.
Like it's hard, especially right now, right? When times are tough. Yeah, it's hard. But this is not the answer.
Yeah.
So it's another group saying, bring back the immigrants. We need them, right? And it's just like, what a sick system it is.
Yeah.
When we're preying on.
It's false, right? Yeah. It's a bit of a lie. Like you're basically saying, look, we have this business or the system that requires, like you said, preying on people in order to survive. That's not great.
Yeah, we need these students to come in and like spend scads of money on all kinds of stuff, like including the colleges, the diplomas that are useless and are not for good programs, and it's not good education.
It doesn't surprise me though. We live in a fiat system, man. Like does it surprise you? I don't know. It doesn't surprise.
I mean, it always surprises me a
little
bit. Like
Joey and Len always call it clown world.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah.
The Canadian Bitcoiners podcast. Yeah, they always have, we just call it current events. They call it clown world. So, okay, here's a quote. We were talking about this earlier. And it is, I think we both also heard it on separate podcasts. And the provenance of this quote is a little bit debatable, but the point remains. I'll just read it. A democracy cannot exist as a permanent form of government. It can only exist until the majority discovers it can vote itself largesse out of the public treasury. After that, the majority always votes for the candidate promising the most benefits, with the result that the democracy collapses because of the loose fiscal policy ensuing, always to be followed by a dictatorship, then a monarchy. So this is attributed to an 18th century feller.
So how old were you?
The loose fiscal policy
How
part.
old were you when that came about?
I was a young man at the time, and I
Had
don't
a bit more
remember
hair.
Anyways, the loose fiscal policy part there makes me think this is more of a 20th century quote, which is also possible. But the point remains, right? And like we've seen it happen in our lifetime, right? People will only vote for the candidate or the government that promises them more stuff.
Well, let just talk about democracy. Like people think democracy is the best system.
Yeah.
And in the Western world, it's kind of like, compared to dictatorship and whatever else, it sounds great, but it's not perfect, right? So it has its flaws. And so the economic angle to this, like, is the flaws where the people, once they realize they can get stuff for free, it becomes this big, I don't know, catastrophe, I guess, that plays out over multiple decades. And I guess the minorities get railroaded over.
Yeah.
Right? Because the majority can basically vote for what they want, get free money to do it, and then the minorities get sidelined.
Yeah.
I don't know.
It has to be paired with, with the loose fiscal policy, right? So there has to be a framework in place. And we always I rag on like central banks and stuff, but
Yeah.
this stuff happened before central governments, yes. Well, I think we talked about, there's a Greek philosopher who had a maybe similar observation, or had classified the different types of governments, right? I can't remember if it was Polybius, or I'll have to look that up. But he basically said, like, you've got your democracy, and he's like, there's a cycle that you're always gonna follow, right? So you'll have a democracy, and maybe it didn't start that way, but in the cycle of democracy, then a dictatorship, or / monarchy, then a republic, and then a democracy. And because of the flaws inherent in each system, they always sort of lead to another.
Yeah.
And
There's some sort of revolt, and then there's, a rebuilding, and then there's a collapse, or the whole system implodes, and then you get one leader that rises, and then they revolt, and
democracy, you get the majority voting itself into decline. And then, so now you need a strong figure, like a monarch or a dictator.
So, okay. Why did you bring this up again? Well, because I'm just thinking, it's really interesting, but are we saying we're in some point of this process where...
Oh, absolutely. We're at the end.
We're at the end. And everyone I talk to is saying, we're at the end, or we're near the end, or we're close to the end. This whole thing is falling. It's Brent, the writing's on the wall.
Yeah,
that's what I'm hearing from all kinds of people.
And remember when the writing was on the wall?
No.
Right? Mean Tekel?
Yeah, many Tekel Parson.
Yeah, okay. I forgot that part.
Yeah.
Forgot the Parson. That was the end of the
end of the empire.
The Median Empire, I think, right?
Yeah.
Persians came. So
it lasted a little bit, but then
yeah. So, depending on who you talk to, what their focus is, right? We're at the end of a debt super cycle, or we're at the end of a
political
contractive cycle, or we're at the end of a political cycle. I think everybody understands. We're at the end of something. Yeah. But my point was about the groups voting themselves as the quote says, largesse. It's a good word. Is that you see these colleges saying, like, no, we need this. We need these students back so we can suck every last dollar out of them. The business owners saying, we need these temporary foreign workers back so we can suck every dollar out of them, right? They're not thinking about what's good for society, what's good for our country. It's like, what's good for me.
There's no moral grounding to all of these things either. And
no, and people have no shame in just outright saying, like, this is what we need. We need foreign buyers to buy all these condos.
But the part of it is that, like, there is no other option, right? And if you don't do it, someone else will do it, right? Like as Christians, we would look at this a little bit differently, but just by and large, you go out there and, well, hey, if that guy's lobbying the government for XYZ, if I don't do something, I got to do it too, right? And it's like that in a lot of things. It's contagious, kind of spreads around.
Yeah.
And especially if it works, right? Like if that group over there gets their thing, well, you gave it to them, you give me, like, well, otherwise I'm not voting for you next time. Okay, well, here's all my free stuff.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, as Christians, we're not exempt from that either, I think, right? Like you talk about because some people have, government pundits have talked about maybe like looking at charitable status of churches,
revoking that,
right? A lot of Christians are up in arms and you can't do that, and yada. It's like, well, they can. I mean, should that change your behavior or how or
your faith or
or your financial, like your donations or whatever? Like, should that change it, or like, no, you don't need the government to.
Yeah,
I mean,
you're going to be penalized in a sense, but
I guess, but I mean, like, where is your citizenship? I guess really, right? So, and like, fine, we can work in the system, and if it's allowed, great. But don't. I'm just saying we're subject to that same sort of thinking. Like, we got to get what's ours, right? And then once we have what's ours, we protect what's ours.
Yeah.
And we're so unashamed of that. Like lobby groups for everything you can think of. That people are lobbyists. Like, what's your job? I'm a lobbyist. Oh, so you just you go to the government and demand money. Like, that is your whole job. You have a whole organization. You got to push it once more.
No, I think it's your camera.
It is. There we go. Camera issues.
Oh, but there is a squeeze happening on the middle class. Maybe it's a result of all this, right? Like, we're coming to the end of these cycles. We're super highly leveraged as the world is highly leveraged.
Yeah.
We have this like fiat system. We have institutions kind of under stress or collapsing or, just pressure. Then we have all these people trying to get their pound of flesh, like looking out for their own interests and not the interests of others. Like, where have you heard that?
Yep.
And if you rewind like 50 years ago, we had a pretty solid middle class.
How would you know? You weren't there.
Well, like, I've heard you say it before, and like, that wasn't always a thing, right? Like, you'd have like a feudal system, You'd have lords, you'd have serfs, like you'd have a structure where there's a big gap between the wealthy and the poorest in the system. So are we going back to that? And I think honestly, the next few years, the next 5-10 years, there's a big squeeze on the middle class. You're seeing basically people are going to pop out the top and beat the system, or they're going to pop out the bottom and be defeated by it.
It's like a fat man putting on a pair of pants, right? Once he tightens that belt, it's going somewhere, the top or the bottom.
That is an analogy that will be ingrained in my memory for the next 10 years. Yeah.
I mean, that does bring to mind like some boomer hate, right? People are like, you boomers this and you boomers that. And, a boomer saying like, no, we deserve this. We worked hard. And like, when you look at it, boomers are really like, the wealth that they've had was, what's the word? Not happenstance or situational, but like, they were at the right place at the right time.
Yeah.
Right. They came in when credit was expanding rapidly.
And cost of credit was decreasing. So
it was, they were very easily able to get more assets.
The nation wasn't as indebted. People weren't as indebted.
It was the perfect time. And now that
population was growing.
Yeah, that's ending. And we're seeing the squeeze. And I mean, that plays out on so many different levels. But just I guess the point I had about the boomers is like, saying, these young people like eat less avocado toast, as I often am fond of saying. There's a grain of truth, but it's also like, no, like house prices are compared to wages are way, way higher. Right?
Yeah,
it's a different situation than it was 60s, 70s, 80s, right? When that wealth was being created, and you rode the wave. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah, just like boots on the ground on that. Like, we're helping people buy houses, and some of our clients are tenants who are our tenants who have good jobs. They're like, great tenants, and they want to buy a house. So kudos to you. That's a great move. You're going to build some equity. Sweet. But you actually go out and do it and try to find a place that's suitable that like these people can qualify for. And it's tricky, man. Like, and what it is we might be able to find something.
Yeah.
Or we will find something, right? But it's that dream or that vision that they have for their future. That's like, if they see that they can't get something that they want, not even if it's not like, this glorious perfect thing, but it's just like, I want a clean, safe home in a nice area, like a neighborhood where my kid can go outside and not feel, and go to if they can't see that future here in Canada in this area, like they have to make a pivot, right? They're gonna either have to change their expectations, their dreams, which is like one way. Okay, you could argue, well, yeah, like, okay, you can't have the same expectations your parents had. You can't have this big, mansion in the countryside with like acreage and like all this stuff. But like, yeah, even if you're like the one client in particular, I'm thinking like they have very reasonable expectations. Yeah. They don't expect that the next 5-10 years they're going to be wealthy by any means. They just want to have a place that's safe in a nice area, or like right. So if that dream goes away and then this trend continues, like you're going to end up with like the young people that are frustrated and angry and worried or just depressed, or like turn to other things, right? We talked about that too. Like, where do they go?
Yeah.
And obviously as Christians, we have something to offer. Like, we have something of eternal significance to offer. And that message needs to go out, but it doesn't change the fact that like they need to live in this world, and not everyone is a Christian. So you're going to live in the midst of like kind of an angry, rebellious generation. And maybe that's ripe for the gospel message to spread, but maybe it's also like a hostile place to live that could, like we just talked about, overturn the next, like that could be a breaking point, right? Or add to the breaking point.
Yeah. I mean, apparently there's a large movement of millennials to the right because they're angry at the policies.
Which is counter to history. Like, it's usually...
Well, counter to recent history anyways. Counter to our culture.
Yeah.
So millennials, and then like their children as well, as they have them, right, are moving more right because they're looking at the policies that got us here. And they're like, these...
Yikes.
Yeah. And maybe there's something to, family and traditional values and all that stuff. So, but you're right. They're feeling the squeeze. And there's going to be... I mean... We referenced that RCMP report last year, I think, right? Where they're like, what was it? Higher prices could lead to unrest.
Social unrest amongst the teenagers or whatever. Yeah.
So it's coming. But I mean, you see this in multiple ways, right? So let me get back on I'll weave a little tapestry here, getting back to Carney. So if you recall, and so the greater framework here is that, you've got the middle class being squeezed, right? Because we're coming to the end in economic terms of this debt super cycle. If you look at it in global terms, same thing is happening and people are getting squeezed. So who's doing the squeezing? It's the US, right? It's Trump. And I was talking to somebody about this recently as well. And like, why is everybody so surprised at what's happening, right? Like, if you're Canadian, you need to understand what Trump's objective is. US first. Reduce debt, right? Improve their financial situation. So that's what he wants. And he's going to give you a list of things like we talked about, the border and drugs and all that stuff. So don't give him any reasons. Don't upset him, because we've seen what's happened, right? We're in a worse place than when we started. But like we know what they're doing. So go with the flow and try to figure out how you can benefit from what the US is doing, right? But they're squeezing, right? They're squeezing the rest of the world. And like you say, some are going to come out on the top, some are going to come out on the bottom. So if you recall, Carney went, his first trip when he was prime minister was to not even elected, right? But he went to the UK and to France. And, if you follow politics, you know that Carney's really pushing this whole EU thing, right? We got to get closer with the European Union, even though there's like a giant ocean between us. And the whole reason they have a European Union is because like they all live next to each other. It's like, Brent, can I be part of your neighborhood association? Like, no, Mark, you don't live here, dummy.
They can't have any of our natural gas, though, but we do want to be part of it.
Oh, yeah. So he's been like really emphasizing this whole EU thing. And I don't know if, side note, they call him the unreliable boyfriend in the UK, Carney. I don't know if you heard that.
Really?
Yeah. From when he was a central banker there. And he like screwed everything up. Mainly by keeping interest rates too low, too long. But yeah, no, if you want to have a laugh, just look that up, right? The unreliable boyfriend. So contrary to what people would have you believe, he does not have a sterling international reputation. And like all this experience as a central banker. Like he has the experience, but just because you're, you could work at a job for 10 years and be really bad at it, and you would have 10 years experience. Doesn't mean you're good. Anyways, I guess we did make some overtures to join the EU, like, we'll contribute $20 billion. And Brussels was like, nah, we're not really interested, guys. So, okay, loser. As Trump would say.
Why do we want to own
loser?
Why do we want to join the EU?
Because we got to be friends with somebody, and if we can't be friends with the orange man, with the U.S., then like somebody else, right?
Can we just produce oil, buy Bitcoin, maybe some gold?
Brent, ridiculous. I don't know what you're even saying, Brent. Ridiculous. So not only did like there were some other like social things that we were all going to band together around Palestine and this and that, and it was going to be glorious, right? Canada and the EU. And then Trump goes and signs this huge trade deal, natural gas and oil, with the EU, $750 billion, up to $750. I mean, he's inflating things a little bit, I think. But point is, they signed a massive trade deal. So not only like our government's telling us, oh no, we're elbows up and we got other irons in the fire, the EU, that's our thing we're going to do. And then Trump just like, boom, takes our feet out and signs a huge energy thing. And this is, remember Trudeau said, there's no business case for natural gas in the rest of the world. Well, $750 billion disagrees with you, buddy. That could have been us. That could have been us. We have more energy than the United States. So next stop was Mexico, right? He just sent Champagne and Jolie down to Mexico to negotiate a bilateral trade deal, because
that sounds like a
that's
very
what we need.
Happy entourage. Champagne and Jolie.
Yeah, I mean,
it's French for very happy and drinking a lot or something.
That's probably all they did. So just like the headline was Sheinbaum, who's the president of Mexico, prime minister. I don't know what they got over there. Dictator. Anyways, Sheinbaum.
Are they ahead of us on the cycle or behind? Because dictator would be.
Oh yeah, they're in a different part. No, they're democracy
monarchy,
too. And the headline is, Sheinbaum, no need for bilateral trade deal with Canada. I.e., like, nah, get out of here, guys. We're trying to do a deal with the U.S. Get out of here. You're losers.
Are we just intentionally avoiding the U.S.? Like, in business, they talk about you got to do the thing that you just don't like to do, and like the hardest thing first. And it seems like we're kind of beating around the bush, going to everybody else and trying to do the low-hanging fruit. And
yeah, I mean, if
the real elephant in the room is the U.S. and they don't like us or something. I don't know. You got to figure it out.
Yeah,
they don't call you a fearless leader for nothing.
If there's method to Carney's madness, I don't know what it is. Right? It just looks like incompetence, right?
Yeah.
I think he got caught up a little bit in the elbows up, and Canadians, especially boomers, are like, yeah, forget it. Like, and you still see it now. People making comments online like, no, we got to stand up for ourselves and
how much of
stand up to them.
So I'm driving down the highway and I see these billboards, and it's like, the corner of two major highways, and it's like a big company, and, Canada, like we are Canadian, like basically every big company ad in a big, like prominent place is Canada. And I don't watch TV, so I don't see any ads. So I don't know what's going on. I generally don't listen to ads or what, but anyways, like, are they in cahoots with the government on this? Like, hey, why don't we just put this in the mass media, that elbows up thing, and then really toot that, and then the corporations, which we've talked about before, oligarchs, like all the big grocery stores, all the big whatever, they're going to be benefiting from it, and then it's a good ad campaign. Like, it just seems so weird. I'm like, really? I don't know. What are you standing up for? Like, what is Canada's value? Like, what, articulate that to me. Like, you run a grocery store in Canada and you source your stuff from Canada, quote unquote, but like, really? You can't grow half the stuff you're in. Like, what are you talking about? You know, all your employees come from a different country. Like, they're not even permanent residents. Like, what are you, you know? Anyways.
Yeah, it's enough to make you shake your head, right?
That's my, I don't usually rant.
No, that was a good, I'm impressed, Brent.
I'm learning from the best. I'm generally an optimistic and excited kind of person, you know?
So, well, this is the next pillar of Carney's platform, right? Is like, we're going to create made in Canada demand, and we're going to be our own best customers, I think is what he said. It's like, you idiot. We don't have it like the U.S. Yeah, like domestic consumption is huge there because they have a large population. When you have a big country.
Well, so it's funny. So we're looking for a minivan, and I'm trying to buy a Canadian-made minivan, but they don't.
Why?
I don't know. Is there any Canadian car manufacturers?
Like, is it a van with elbows or?
No, but yeah, I don't know. Like, what can you find for Canada-made products? Is there a lot of stuff?
Well, I mean, Canada made, but like, I don't know. What do you want? Like a Toyota? Well, I mean, it's Japanese.
I mean, it's a Japanese car.
Yeah, like, Honda. Yeah, nothing is like natively Canadian.
That's what I mean. Like, what can I get that's Canadian? Like, truly Canadian.
Yeah, I don't know. But this whole idea of we're going to feed our own domestic consumption and we're going to be our own best, like, you moron. We don't have a big enough population, as much as you try to import it, to do that.
Yeah.
Right. And, you know, as far as I know, we've done that for a long time. It's called real estate, and it's not had good consequences for us, right? When we were our own best customers, we didn't spend money on any. We've talked about this, right?
Yeah.
No research, no funding of other businesses, just real estate, and a self-perpetuating.
In fact, penalizing other businesses.
Yeah, and you know, we can't possibly use all of the oil and gas and hydro and everything else that we could produce in this country, right? We are net exporters of that. Yeah. We should be anyways. So we can't be our own best, like just stop and do a deal with the states. But I almost feel like the Liberals feel that they're too far into this now, that if they make a deal, and I saw on the CBC actually somebody commenting saying like, you know, Carney on one hand is saying this is the biggest disaster or biggest problem of our lifetimes. But on the other hand, he's saying, well, we just got to wait this thing out with Trump. It's like, no, make a deal.
You got to pick one.
Every time he does something, we end up with higher tariffs and in a worse situation for our biggest trading partner. And yeah, we should diversify. We should have already been selling lots of natural gas and oil to Japan, to Germany, to everybody who asked for it. We didn't do that. So we got to deal with what we have now.
What else you got? You got, so Tucker Carlson, he interviewed Richard Werner.
Yeah. And I got to rag on
you want more?
Ford after.
All right, we'll give you two.
No, because this ties into the...
2 minutes.
2 minutes.
You want 2 minutes on Ford now, or are we going to go to something more?
No, we'll go to Richard Werner, because I was thinking about this as well. Talking about being your own best customer. So Richard Werner, he's an economist. He's a guy. And he was on Tucker Carlson. So
very clickbait.
Yeah, I mean, like, you know, if you know anything, you know, like, take Tucker Carlson with a grain or a bag of salt, right? He's there to generate clicks and whatever. So fine.
Well, I gotta read kind of like, so world-renowned economist Richard Werner on where money comes from. Banks just create it out of thin air and keep a pile for themselves. So it's a very like kind of provocative statement, but it's also like dumbed down for even me to understand it?
Isn't that what we do, Brent?
Create money out of thin air?
No, I mean with the podcast.
Yeah.
Clickbait headlines, right?
Yeah, clickbait headlines that have nothing to do with the episode. I don't know.
No,
there's a little bit of a miscommunication.
yeah, we'll blame Gideon.
There's a lack of funding. We got to send a letter, open letter to Carney. We need some more funding. We need to get all those fired CBC employees to work for.
Oh, man. So anyways, the interview. I have not listened to the whole thing, but listened to a bunch of it, and I like what I heard so far. And so Richard Werner has a theory, and I'll get to the best customer thing, and how it ties into that, actually, right? But his so we've talked about fractional reserve banking. I've written about it, and my camera just went out. Let me.
Okay.
There we go, and we're back, folks. Maybe Gideon can edit that out. Anyways, we've talked about it. I've written about it. Fractional reserve banking. So he talks about different theories of money creation, and one is that banks are intermediaries for the Fed, for the central bank that creates money. Another one is that sort of an expansion on that is that we have what we call fractional reserve banking, and a lot of people have talked about how wrong that is, essentially, and the evils of it. So the idea is the bank would Brent gives $100 to the bank, deposits it, then the bank is going to go out, and they're not just going to hang on to his money. They're going to lend it out, right? But they'll lend out, let's say, $90 of it, because they have to keep a portion of it in there, although those rules are changing and are very fluid and I think disregarded, right? So the bank will go out and lend me, Mark, $90 to do whatever, right? To buy a jet ski. So now that $90 gets deposited in my bank, and then my bank, Bank B, is going to take 90% of that. So, $77 or whatever, lend it out. So at the end, that initial $100 becomes $800.
Yeah.
Right. And
so this is popular belief. This is kind of.
Yeah. And this was popular for a long time.
Yeah.
Right.
Even on the Two Stewards show, we believed this.
Yeah.
Heart and soul.
Absolutely. And I still do. That because there were rules around this, right? You had to have a certain amount of reserves compared to what you put out there. But this Richard Werner fellow is saying, actually, it's not even fractional reserve banking. It's just.
By the way, I said we should have him on the show, and Mark's just like, Google Richard Werner. And I did. And I didn't see any reference to the Two Stewards show, so I was like, he must be a nobody. But you got a Wikipedia page and all the nonsense. Pretty good.
We'll work on him. I would love to. I'd love to get him on. But anyway, so he's saying, based on his research and everything that he's done, and he's
Bank of
worked
Japan.
at banks, Bank of Japan, which we'll get back to, that it's not actually the Fed or the central banks that create money and then sort of dole it out to the private banks to lend out. He's saying no, just forget that step altogether, right? And yes, governments will create money, right? Especially deficit spending or putting up bonds, money creation. But essentially the banks just create money and that's it. So they'll do a mortgage, they'll do a loan for something. They take some of that new money that they've introduced into the system, and then the rest of it goes out into the system that becomes part of the broad money supply. And so I listened to George Gammon talk about this too, and he's like, yeah, it kind of makes sense, because if you look at bank reserves in 1950, global bank reserves compared to global bank reserves now, they're actually less. But the economy has gone many, many times larger. So if money creation was the result of central banks creating money, then giving it to the banks to lend out, bank reserves should be exponentially larger, but they're actually smaller.
Just like the debt.
Yeah,
they should be in proportion to the debt, right? Yeah.
Yeah, but they're not. So anyways, this is a bit of a topic. I haven't listened to the whole thing, but I'd encourage you, if you're interested in this sort of thing, listen to that, because it's it just it really clicks for me. I'm not going to 100% endorse it, but it clicks. So the example that Werner used, and I mean, if you listen to the interview, it's 2 hours long. So But if you listen to it, he was trying to figure out in Japan in the 80s, 90s, like what was happening with real estate prices and the Japanese yen. I was going to say the Japanese dollar. It's the yen. We know that much on that.
The Jap coin.
The Jap coin. Yeah, that's it. Right. So at the same time, like real estate prices were increasing. Like it was getting ridiculous.
Yeah.
And anybody who was around then would kind of know this. Like, yeah, that was a real crazy.
Didn't you
time.
say it was like one property was worth all of California or something?
The Imperial Gardens in Tokyo.
Yeah.
That package of land, if it were sold, was worth had the same value as California.
Yeah.
But at the same time, there was a net outflow of yen from Japan to other countries, right? To other investments. He's like, that doesn't make sense.
Yeah.
Because if all this money's flowing out, then how can it also be building up in the system?
Yeah.
And so he figured out that, well, no, actually, it's just banks creating yen, not dollars. And that's it.
Out of thin air.
Out of thin air. It's not the central bank creating more dollars, because then you would be able to track that and see that. He's like, no, they're just creating money out of thin air via loans, via credit facilities, which we talked about, boomers benefiting from that, and et cetera, et cetera. So anyways, this is maybe a little bit in the weeds, but I find it super interesting that, what
Banks
actually runs the money supply and runs everything is the banks.
Yeah.
They're not in the orbit of the central bank. The central bank is sort of in the orbit of these guys. So that's...
well, this is something Tom Karadza has talked about too. I don't know, on the show he talked about it so much, but just like when... Like we mentioned this too, when you access real estate by getting a mortgage, that money is created out of thin air and given to you, right? It doesn't come from some other guy's deposit. So like that sounds like it's in line, which is...
But the theory was always that there was a little bit of money. There was
going
a bit
on.
of money back there.
So he's saying like
backstop
there's
it.
literally nothing or...
No, they're just... Well, because when you... Now, some of that gets extinguished.
It's not a big jump for me to go from fractional reserve to like no reserve. Yeah, like
100%.
I'm there now that you mention it.
Exactly. So...
It doesn't surprise me, to be honest. I don't know.
No. And
it also allows the banks to generate a profit. They just have to issue loans, and then they take the fees, or they take some portion of it.
Banks did very well until they didn't, and then they all went bankrupt. Right? Eventually, that imploded and crashed. But it reminded me of our own best customer. Right? The Japanese were their own best customer for real estate at that time until it like.
So it's a false
exploded
reality that you're living in. Yeah.
And just a false thing that he's trying to.
That's the thing. Like if you think about the system too much, your head explodes. But it's like if we're living in a false reality, but everyone's like, well, yeah, but it's existed for the last 100 years. It can just keep going. Like I can just go to the bank and a mortgage. Like, what's the problem, Brent? Like what, Mark? Why? How is this thing going to collapse? Right? Like you say, it's the end of a debt super cycle. How is this going to collapse when the government could just keep it going? But like Japan might be a good example of this, but at some point it does.
And Japan is still going,
but
right?
The other thing I think Werner was saying was that this system, like, yeah, that's the reality, but it contributes to inequality, like economic inequality.
Yes.
And then like instability in the system, the social, like the classes,
well,
right?
You had a summary there, didn't you, from ChatGPT?
Yeah. So I'm not going to read it. Read it? Okay. So
I like it.
Contrary to popular belief, banks don't merely lend out deposits. They actually create new money out of thin air when they issue loans. This means that most of the money circulating in the economy is created by private banks, not governments. Werner emphasizes that this system allows banks to generate profit simply by issuing credit, keeping a portion of the newly created money for themselves, and contributing significantly to economic inequality and systemic instability.
Bada bing, bada boom.
So, yeah. Don't even have to listen to the interview.
No, I mean, I think that's a pretty concise argument. But then you're like, why am I busting my butt working and trying to, we talk about this, right? Create value in whatever you do. Like, why, when with the stroke of a pen, some banker can just create more value than I could ever in my lifetime.
So what like Saifedean Ammous would talk about, and we've gone through his book a little bit, the Bitcoin standard, the fiat standard.
Yeah.
He would almost say that, this is like the fact that the banks can create money out of thin air is not just like a flaw in the system. It's actually like a moral failure, and you're stealing value, right? Like you said, why would I do this? Well, yeah, it's true. Like they're literally stealing it from you, or the system is, or they might not think they are, but yeah, they are, right? and it's that like Cantillon effect where it rewards behaviors such as increasing your debt or speculating rather than like saving and being frugal and prudent, right? Like Christian values and things like, that you would say are wise practices on a sound money system are punished.
And that's a dilemma, right? Because if you want to do the best for your family,
you're almost living in two realities.
Like, right? You got to do a little bit of one, a little bit of the other. Like, and that's what we've talked about.
We do some moral investing and some immoral. Like, what are we going to do? Let's get some hard assets, benefit from the free money printing out of thin air, and get on the other side of that so you benefit from the Cantillon effect. And in the meantime, like try and work and provide value and save in sound money. Honestly, this is a question I struggle with every day, Mark. Maybe people think I'm intense, but like this is...
No, you're in a house, not intense. Well, you were this weekend.
I was intense. And while I was in the tent...
That's your problem. You're too tense.
Yeah. We only have one tent.
Oh, okay. Then you're fine.
Oh, man.
No, it is... there's a tension there. I mean, I think we talk about it quite often, right? I don't think we've quite worked that out. Like, how do we...
what do we do? What do we do with our time? What do we do with our money? Like, the best thing, you want to serve people. You want to do what is right. And you can do that in any system. It's just that in the current reality of this system, you're going to get punished. Like, you're going to get obliterated, or like you're certainly not going to get rewarded, right? Well, so do you walk headlong into suffering and pain and economic disparity, whatever, willingly, knowing that there's a different option, or that there's like, this is going to be the end result is...
And if it was just you, that's one thing. But if you have children, a family,
a church community, a society,
drag them into that suffering as well? I'm not saying that suffering is bad, but do you want to intentionally do that? Or do you want to, like, I don't know, for me, like, I'd rather try to take care of the family. Are we going to write the
book, Willful Suffering? Let's just do the suffering. Like, I don't think, as Christians, we're called to just literally suffer for no reason, right? Like, if you know
not for no reason.
No.
For some reason.
Be prepared to suffer for Christ and be willing to do that, but don't just blatantly walk into...
I think we have, we are going to talk about downward mobility
in
an upcoming podcast with one of my favorite pastors. So I won't say any more than that. But he did a thesis on that very subject. And so it's a sort of a counterpoint to the...
Yeah, I'm excited to hear about that.
Wealth thing. So... okay, so that's great. Great deep thinking there, Brent. Okay, let's get a little bit back on some of the current stuff, and we can wrap it up. It's getting dark out. I don't know. I just a thought, like, saw pictures of Carney at Pride Festival, right?
Are they still doing that festival?
They are, unless you're Jewish. Then you can't. So that was in Montreal. They excluded the Jewish portion of the Pride Festival.
Really?
And I mean, I have no interest.
Did they allow the Muslims, or?
Yeah, that was the Palestinian contingent that was protesting, and then they decided to exclude the Jewish contingent. And now they changed their mind and they're sorry. And it's just, we talked about this, right? The revolution eating its young.
People have to do with their time. Like, who has time to go walk around the streets for all this stuff?
Well, I saw a video,
like, even just a
recently,
practical level.
Of some lefty saying, like, in response to people saying, like, you guys are out there just stop it, you're protesting all the time, everything. And they're like, well, where were you when the left was in power, and there's all these policies you didn't like you could have protested. It's like, you know what, we all have jobs. You didn't have time to do that. We're out working. That was our
fighting
protest.
forest fires and
Yeah.
trying to put secret natural gas pipelines under the country.
Anyways, Carney's at Pride. There's, pictures of him like embracing a man wearing a thong. So you get the back of the thong wearing dude in the front of Carney. That's a great image. Thank you. And then also hanging out with Dog Man, like some guy in a dog mask.
Yeah.
That whole, and it's like crazy that we just casually talk about these things, right?
Yeah.
The level of depravity that's out there. Someone who masquerades as a dog and gets pleasure from that. So anyways, there's our prime minister. The other politician I wanted to beat on a little bit is Doug Ford. So I'm always on about the feds, right? And not talking about our local government. And I mean, if you're sort of into macroeconomics, you naturally would be drawn to sort of the higher levels of government. But I don't know. Are you sick of Ford? I'm kind of. I've been over him for
You know what, Mark?
while.
To be honest, I get my news from you. So.
Oh man! So he's been very active lately.
I do
right?
feel sick of Ford now that you mention it.
See, there you go.
Buy a GMC.
Hey, my Ford's been good. Anyways, he's been pretty active, with all the tariff stuff, right? He's been like elbows up. He's been right beside Carney. So right away, that gets my hackles up. He is yelling at...
Does he get along with Danielle Smith?
I mean, yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Just
far as I know.
Just wondering.
Yeah, as far as I know, it's politics. Right, but he's also been really hammering on the central bank and interest rates. Like, we got to get those interest rates down, and people are suffering. Like, the translation is, my developer friends are suffering. So this is the other. I can't say this is sure, but this has always been a thing against Ford, is that he's very close to real estate developers in Ontario, and I don't know. The rumors have been around for a long time.
It's interesting that Carney is also somewhat close to real estate developers as well.
Or he owns some through his
So in order
assets.
to be in politics, you need to be somehow connected to real estate?
Maybe.
So maybe we're on the right path.
Okay, we're getting there. Anyways, it's just another, like, the central bank, for all as much as I hate it, is a separate institution, should not be influenced by the government. And, here's Ford saying, you got to cut interest rates, and this guy at the central bank, this and that, right? It's like, just no, stop it, right? You're pandering to the masses, and this is not what we need. Lower interest rates. Yeah, people would like it, but you just want a return of real estate prices and the real estate mania that we had. So it's not helpful at all. He's hanging out with, I can't even read my notes here, but at somebody's backyard, right? I think, who was there? Anyways, a bunch of liberals, right? And yeah, I guess hang out with who you want, but it's like a little bit like, what are you doing, man, right?
Yeah.
You got your little group of federal cabinet members. He wants to drill a tunnel under the 401 to relieve congestion, like bit of a pie in the sky thing, right? Just go under the 401, just bore a tunnel. I mean, the concept is pretty cool, but like
crazy, yeah,
just nuts. Which just leads me to think, like, is he and apologies to like Sam Osterhoff and maybe others that we know who might be involved with the provincial government. But I mean, like, it's not a conservative government, right? It's not. I don't know. I can't think of anything that's really conservative about it. If you look at the ballooning deficits, provincial deficits, like, just look at our schools, right?
Yeah.
The nonsense that is being pushed in our schools. If they were truly conservative, that would not be happening. So we've essentially got a very light L liberal government in Ontario as well. And I would look forward to some change at some point.
Just like, do you want to live in this province, in this country? I don't know, man. I keep tossing around different ideas on, like, hey, with this macroeconomic picture, like, are we just suckers for suffering in this in this economy. Like your business is punished, you're taxed, you're living in a social, but like where else can you go? And then it's just I don't know, it's a strange world. Maybe my eyes are opening. It's always been like this, but maybe you could tell me it.
No,
Different.
it's because of the squeeze, right? I think more and more people are in the same boat, going like, man, things are tough here, and like it doesn't look good for like a while.
Yeah,
it look like things are going to be good. So like, what do we?
Yeah,
do?
like how does the economy come back? I mean, it always does. And Brent, it's going to come back. You're just going to say in like 2 years, yeah, see, remember when we were just like, doom and gloom, whatever, it's going to come back. Like, how does it, and what does it look like? And I don't know. Bitcoin to me is really interesting still. I mean, people, so I talk to a whack of different people about all of these different ideas that I have, and I'm crazy and I spend too much time on the phone. But yeah, so some people are like, they're so, yeah, Bitcoin is going to happen. It's a big deal. Maybe not 5, maybe 10, it's 10 years. It's going to be a thing. Other people like, are you crazy? This is nuts. Like, gold. And it's just a big mess. I don't know. It's just there's so much uncertainty. It's like which country is going to pick which asset. And then there's the game theory to it all, right? And then there's like the technology layer, right? Talk to a guy like Jeff Booth about AI, the impacts of like productivity gains by technology development. Even we just talked to Daniel about AI integrating into like real estate services. Well, like it's going to destroy. It's going to really change a lot of industries. And what do kids do? Like there's so many unanswered questions that no one really has like a precedent to look back at and say, well, yeah, like, when they invented the wheel, like, yeah, AI is a little bit different,
Yeah, I mean, we started as a real estate podcast, right? And I think we both still believe in the value of real estate because it's a hard asset, right? You can't create it out of thin air like money. So I have been pretty down on Canada for a while, right? That's why I guess my answer to you is there's a couple things that I've been looking at and not preaching hard, but if people ask me, I'll tell them, right? And it's like, it's not Canadian real estate. I think there's going to be value.
Certainly not like GTA, Ontario. There is some deals and there's some opportunities, but like by and large, it's hard.
Yeah, and if you have to be here, okay, you have to be here and you can operate, and you just got to make sure if you're buying it that you're cash flowing, and you can cash flow under if interest rates go up to 8% or whatever, right? I mean, it's not unheard of, but so my answer would be like Bitcoin. If you just can't deal with that, then okay, gold, right? Yeah. And the US, right? We've sold up here in Canada, right? We still have one project to waiting to either complete or get our money back. But you can bet if we, like, whenever we can cash out of that money's going right across the border, right? It's going to go into US dollars, and then it's going to go into probably US real estate, some Bitcoin as well. But I just, I don't know. That's my answer anyways. And, I've said that for a while, and we're happy with one place in the States.
The one thing with Bitcoin though is that it doesn't generate cash flow. So if you're in a tough spot, like to put away cash, like if you don't have, people think you got to buy a whole Bitcoin, but like if you don't have money to set aside for 4 or 5, 10 years savings, and you need to access the money. Yeah, the nice thing about Bitcoin is it's liquid, but it's also been volatile, and I don't think if you need cash flow, you're not going to just stick it into something like the stock market. I don't know. I don't understand what's holding that together, but real estate's interesting because like you said, it's scarce. You can take advantage of this system of free money out of thin air, benefit from paying down the debt, in some areas where you can actually get cash flow, like you can get paid to pay down your asset, right? Like, so if you're looking for putting money to use and earning a return, like that's yeah, I don't know. Real estate's a super powerful tool in that sense.
And yeah, I mean that's been my theory, right? Is that real estate in the United States, there's like a lot of different markets. So right now, some markets are suffering and prices are dropping and yada yada. Like that's the States, right? This is how it goes, right? But other markets are doing well. We're seeing some appreciation in like New York State, for example, which is not you wouldn't have expected.
Yeah,
but
kind of avoid that.
there's variation. Well, yeah, but there's variations, right? And the reason I say the U.S. versus other countries is I think the U.S. will be the last domino to fall, right? And I think the proof that we're seeing.
What do you think about bricks?
I mean, I prefer bricks to siding, so.
There's a lot of siding houses down in the States. Slab on grade.
What's depressing? Like Winnipeg, man. I'm sorry. So much stucco. Oh, it's awful.
Well, we just lost all of our stucco manufacturer listeners.
Sorry, guys. It's a little bit of stucco, okay, but like every house, forget it. No, you mean like Brazil, Russia, India, China?
Yeah.
Yeah, like I don't have a good way to access those markets. Like I know one person in Brazil, so okay, I can go down there. But the fact that we're right next door to the biggest market in the world, you can argue China or Russia, whatever, but like it's certainly the biggest economy in the world. And because of that, because everybody uses the dollar as the reserve currency, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera, like I think it'll be the last one to fall. And yeah, emerging markets, 100%. There's some great opportunities there. I ain't smart enough to figure that out.
Yeah.
Right? Because I could
just need
pick
some good
somewhere.
old Alabama real estate.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Anyways, that's my 2 cents. I don't know. I don't know if we should even bring. Okay, let me bring it up. Well, last thing. American Eagle put out an ad. And the liberal left is losing their mind because so American Eagle does jeans, right?
Okay.
Denim.
Yeah.
And of all things, they featured a white woman. Unforgivable in an ad. And like I'm not interested in like the advertising world and sex sells and that's part of this, right? So I think the tagline is like I've got great genes. So it's this arguably attractive woman. And so people say, oh, this is white supremacy. She's talking about her white genes. Like, no, you dummy. It's like she's saying, it's a play on words. I've got great genes because I'm attractive, but then genes can also mean the jeans that I'm wearing.
Yeah.
Not that hard. But people are losing their mind because it's not a minority that they featured. And how dare they in this day and age? And I'm like, this is so refreshing to see, not because she's white, but because you have, and it's not the only company, people that are just like, no, I'm not afraid of being called racist anymore.
Yeah.
Because I'm not, just by, doing X or Y.
Well, and if
and we're just going to run this campaign. If you don't like it,
if you change the meaning of the word racist, it starts to lose its meaning altogether. So just call us racist. I don't know.
Well, and you're seeing, I think you're seeing
mean?
a lot more people saying like, whatever, fine, call me that. I don't care.
Yeah.
I'm just going to speak my mind and not be offensive or vulgar or whatever, but I'm just going to say what I think. Yeah. And if you want to call me racist, go ahead.
So you got some American Eagle jeans or?
No, because I don't, no. I get them at, whatchamacallit, Target or
Target.
Oh no, buy used jeans.
Village.
Yeah, exactly. Okay, any final thoughts there, Brent?
Yeah, thoroughly depressed.
Reno?
No, actually, I'm really pleased we went for an hour and 11 minutes, and I didn't have to put the kids to bed.
I could go a little bit longer if there's any of them that are having problems.
Oh, democracy is destined to fail. Get yourself on the positive side of the Cantillon Effect and buy some real estate. Look for a linear market. Try and get some US dollars or try and get some hard currencies, some Bitcoin, maybe a bit of gold. And this is not financial advice.
No, but the one advice that is good is get Jesus in your life, right? That is the best thing you can do. And that's financial advice. I'll say it. It's life advice. It's financial advice.
Eternal financial advice. All right.
Because as much as this is all depressing, when you put it into that perspective, like, doesn't matter so much. So there you go. Well, thanks for listening, folks, coming on this journey with us. And until next time,
steward your wealth wisely. Thanks for listening to this episode of the Two Stewards Show. If you like my voice better, click subscribe.
If you like my voice better, click share.
If you like both, give us a 5-star rating.
To learn more about the show, head on over to twostewards.ca and explore our free resources. To interact with the show, feel free to reach out at hello@twostewards.ca.
We will see you in the next episode. In the meantime, steward your wealth wisely.
Nailed it.